Good evening, everybody. Welcome back as ever to Building Blocks, where we program Minecraft mods live on camera, and things usually go boom in some fashion or another. And today is a wonderful day because I have Various Oddities 116.5 version 1 here, and it is also available to you, the public, right now. It is over on Curse, and you can download it. It will work in 116.5. I have already put together a quick pack for my patrons to use, so there's even a pack on AT Launcher. And yeah, it's there, and it's... I feel... It feels very inferior to the 112 version, surely because there is, by comparison at least, basically nothing in it, and that's... I know why that is. It's because updating the entire thing was time-consuming and nigh impossible and all sorts. And we've had to build from scratch, like literally my first entity kind of tutorial level in a lot of ways to get this running. But that's not to say there isn't some fun stuff here. So let's have a wander about. So up until Friday, pretty much, I think. You will be able to wander around the world and find foxes with these wonderful winter adornments. This only appears between the 21st of December and the 20th of March. That is inclusive, so include those numbers. And then it is gone for the rest of the year. We have moss, but Various Oddities by itself doesn't have world gens, so this block only exists in creative mode if you want to use it. And what that does is, if it is contacted on any side with water, then it will spawn the Marimo, which are over here. I haven't fully implemented the bottle of moss, so it's there, but most of these items don't do very much. They're not meant to. They're only here if like we actually need them for the mobs and as such. Of course, we have the rats, big and small. We also have the scorpions, big and small, although my big scorpion appears to have gone walkies. 1 second. Let me fix that. There you are. I am probably going to downscale the scorpions a bit, because they're sort of the desert equivalent, like in a certain way they're sort of the desert equivalent of rats, and they look massive. Like, a rat here is like not much bigger than the babies on the back of this thing, so, we got the goblins, and this particular one is being very horny on main. 1 second. Behave. There we go. Are you gonna be? Okay, good. Yeah, we got the goblins. They do have a texture bug there. That's not... That'll take basically nothing to fix, so don't need to worry about it too much. We've got the kobolds, everybody's favorite, because of course I couldn't release the first version of this mod without them. They will hold their parades, they will lay their eggs, they will make like hatcheries, and they will guard it, that kind of thing. I see you over there. Get your heads down. You're coming up soon, I swear. Heads down. Thank you. We do have the drafting table, but it doesn't currently do anything. That's on the to-do list for the next version. Do they say what's up? No! That I'm reserving for the lizard men, who will almost certainly be enemies that you can murder. We've got their scale layer, which is left behind whenever their eggs hatch. We have the decorative, non-functional eggs as well. And I guess that brings me now to the rats. Booked, at least when I actually implement WhatsApp, a mob that says WhatsApp, they will absolutely be something you're supposed to murder. Okay. So the rats. The rats, the goblins, and the kobolds now all use the group system. Previously, the only mob that actually used the group system, at least in Various Oddities, was the Velociraptor and the Megaraptor. Now, I'm trying to make more use of it, so whenever I want, like, a group kind of response to something, I will use the group system. So, rats of the same breed will travel to a giant rat, and then whenever the giant rat sets its attack target, it creates a group which defines itself as the leader, and basically every rat in that group has its attack target set to that of the leader. So if the big rat sets its attack target on somebody, every little rat that's been following it goes for the same thing. So, yeah. So many rats. I am probably going to have to, I am definitely going to, like, add custom sounds for them, I think. What's this about Jimmy? I haven't implemented bullets yet, so we don't have Jimmy, I'm afraid. Let's see, the scorpions are pretty much exactly as they were before, which is if they have babies, then they will spawn babies when they die. They have either wither or poison, depending on their color, so the black ones are wither. The plague rats, which are the black rats with the glowing eyes, you can see them here, those will also inflict poison, the intensity of which is significantly increased by there being giant plague rats. More or less, you don't see these kind of colors of giant rat very often. You tend to see black or plague giant rats, but do that. But that's basically everything that is in the mod right now. Not a lot, I know, but hey, we had to start somewhere. I have done some tweaks since the version came out, so I've already adjusted the default spawn settings, because previously, let's see, go to natural spawns up here. Goblins had a spawn weight of 600, which made perfect sense in 112, but not so much in 116, where most things are like maybe 100. I still don't like that, depending on what kind of creature it is, the scalings of the weights is vast and different. Can you tame plague rats? The giant rats are aggressive, they're hostile, they're monsters. You shouldn't, they're not gonna ever play nice with you. But if a small rat isn't near a giant rat of the same breed, they don't aggro on anything. So, in fact, they will avoid players if they can. This includes they will not even aggro against the cats that try to eat them. So you can absolutely keep the small rats as pets, but the big rats, no. Well, be wary of where you put them as well, because they will chew through a lot of stuff. Gonna put one in a box. Feel free. My rats are guaranteed to crash the server less than the rats mod, I'll tell you that much. Although there's not much to them otherwise, I have to say. Okay. So, for the next version, here we have it. The first thing I want to try and get working is creature types. Now, in 112, in the config, you can define the specific mob types of a creature. Let me see if I even have those around. I don't know that I do. Yep, there we are. The mob types. So you can define them as aberrations, arthropods, aquatic, beast, cold, dragon, evil, fey, fire, giant, golem, holy, humanoid, illager, outsider, plant, slime, undead, and vermin. And that has a number of different effects upon them, and before it was fairly easy to do that because we just had like a big long array, like just a list basically of like, here is a thing and here's all the types that it has. We had an array of arrays essentially, and I'm not convinced that we can do that in config anymore, because I had to go through some hoops, I tell thee, just to be able to have AI controls, which is just a toggle on-off for all of the individual mobs without having to define each variable individually. And let me tell you, the spawn entries are even worse. Because the spawn entries are actually like a set. Like, for that, having an array would have been nice, but no, I had to turn them into MBT, and then turn that into a string, so I could then parse it, and just, oy, pain in the neck. But it works, so there's that, now, at least. But saying that for the creature types is going to be interesting, suffice it to say. But if we can get that going, then we can get the creature types actually doing stuff. As you can see, there's all these functions in here. I don't believe the mob types are currently functional. I don't think they're actually, like, attached to a bus right now, but they're there, nonetheless. First things first, I think, is I'm going to actually re-engage all of these spell parts, because we do actually have the spell now. Like, the magic system is right here, it's just empty. Let's see. There's the type handler. But apparently nothing touches it. Okay. Alright, we don't have the custom damage sources yet, actually. I have been working on the status effects a bit today, so I've gotten a little bit of a work on the sleep effect, and that has some interesting consequences, because the sleep effect previously didn't make you fall over, but that's trivial to do in 1.16, so I tried to have it be that when a player is afflicted by the sleep effect, it sets their pose to the sleeping pose, as it should be, which worked fine, until the effect wore off, and then you didn't get back up. Bit of a problem there, I have to say. There we go. Okay, so that's spells re-implemented, even if they don't currently do anything, but that's fine. Yeah, I'll reinstate that for a hot second so you guys can see what on earth I'm talking about, because it is odd, to say the least. What should happen is that you're in the sleeping pose until the effect wears off, or you are woken up, one way or the other. What actually happens is much stranger. Oh, what cute fox is Esper. So full of love. I think including that middle one, I'm 100%. Very cute. So let's see, for every oddity we need to have an array, which I guess we can store as a string that's just delineated, but that should be fairly straightforward. For players, it shouldn't be too much of a problem, because we only need to look for them, like, we just need to check if a value exists, for instance. We don't necessarily need to actually make... So here's the redstone aggro on me. It is entertaining to see them poking their heads up there, I have to say. Like, just... Hi there. Ugh, I was so happy when I got their sizes to work. Okay, let's go into survival, just so we don't have that looming over us. Okay. Sleep. Let's say for 20 seconds. Why not? Okay. So far, so good. That obviously is wrong, but, you know, we're working on it. We got that going. That's good. You don't usually see your inventory when you're in this mode, so this is entertaining to see in and of itself. And... Yep. I don't know why that happens, but I can move around just fine. It's like I've been shrunk. Steve isn't dead, Steve is just really heckin' tired, my dudes. Is this what happens when you get added to Smash? I don't know. But yeah, there's nothing that I can do that will change this for some unknown reason. I don't know why. I can only presume it's how I'm handling the actual, like, setting into sleep. But it's quite odd indeed. So we're just leaving that out for the moment. That's fine. But once that's working, I can hopefully get the sleeping working again, so our mobs will be able to fall asleep. Not a priority, and not necessarily the easiest thing, because we now can't just actually retrieve individual tasks unless we have a getter inside of the mobs, which is unfortunate, but oh well. I suppose I could have a Oh god, no. I was just thinking, what if I made a hash map of entities to their sleep tasks, and that'd be fine, except for the part where there can be, like, hundreds to thousands of mobs. Ooh. So, yeah, that would be a bad idea indeed. Anyways. So, let's... Public static class. Type settings, I guess. Okay. And we're going to need to take forge config spec.builder, which is the thing that we use to create the thing. So if you wanted an idea, if you're not familiar with the 112 creature type system, there's a mod going around at the moment on Fabric called Origins, which basically lets you, at the start of a playthrough, more or less locks you whilst you're just at spawn after you've spawned in. So you can die whilst you're just picking this choice, which is entertaining. But basically you get to play as a specific species, which gives you various pluses and minuses. Or just pluses if you happen to be a shulk. But anyways, the type settings is like that, except that there is multiple different components. So for instance, we can combine Dragon, Evil, and Cold, and you get the effects of all three. Whereas with Origins, you have to be just one specific thing. Now, in theory, if there was a Forge version of Origins, you could combine the two, but to my knowledge, there isn't, so this is what you get. These types aren't as dramatic, in most cases, as the Origins races are. They're meant to be more like specific tweaks and adjustments, so these are the universal properties of creatures of that type, rather than being the capacities and abilities of a given species. But anyways, so we need a map string to a string. And we're going to call that oddity types. Or mob types, I guess. I think that's how I got it before. Let's check. Yes, that's exactly how I got it. Good. Okay. Oh yeah, another weird thing. You see... Let's see, where's AI settings? There's AI settings, okay. You see this section right here, builder.define entry get path true, okay? Very simple, works. For whatever reason, down here in the spawn settings, where I have the exact same thing done, I had to change that right over here to boolean.true instead of just true. I don't know why. Like, forge config spec, boolean value, and forge config value boolean. For some reason, both of these work fine, except when it came to actually compiling and releasing the mod. At that stage, it failed at that specific line. I don't know why. Like, nobody I've talked to has the slightest clue what caused that. So, weirdness. Anyways, so for... Yep, that'll do. Right there. Actually, we theoretically want to go through all entities, but we'll settle just for putting the oddities by default, I guess. So we want to just give him that for right now. Okay, so that will create in our config a big long list of mob names, and then like a string, an empty string at this point, but it's fine. So then when we're in mob types, we can go to the config, check on this section, ask for the entry specific to a given name, and that should get us a string holding the mob types of that mob. Okay, hope you're with me so far, chat, because I'm not sure I am. Does that mean a new baby trans too? I mean, with this version and this new testing world, then yes, we would need to find a new baby trans. That said, zombie kobolds aren't currently implemented. But, you know, upcoming. You're not with you, no idea what's going on, you just got here. Okay, hey Noob, how you doing? Yeah, just describing part of that weird bug that happened when I tried to compile this mod, where the same exact line of code worked fine in one area and broke the whole compiler in the other. Strange. Okay. For this one, we don't actually want to put anything, we just want to know that it's there. Which then does raise the question, how are we going to map it? You can have a string container that's just a list of player names. And then for every player name in that, we can actually just, like, check if it exists inside a player set. Ooh. Hang on, let me drag out my 112, like, config file as a demo, what I'm talking about here. Okay, groups, is that what I'm thinking of? Yeah. Okay. So, this is how we did it in the oldie days. We just had an entry for every specific type, and you just plonked the names of things you wanted in there. Which would work. You just need to loop through them all and continue to find them. Assuming there was some type of it. It was identical. I have genuinely no idea. Not a clue. Okay, that... It would be nicer to just have a set that was... here's, like, specific names of creatures and here's all the types they have. But, I think even with this version of the config, it's gonna be tricky. Which case... We still need to do this, but now we can do it just by enum mob type. And that will actually give us entries that we can definitively definitely go to and find stuff, so there's that. And then we just do the same over here, but instead of putting in mob types for players. Okay. And we need to actually have that value up here. Type settings. Is it worth putting this in its own bracket? Because right now we've got general and then mobs. Basically, we do have other things up here, but they're just not used. There's the creature groups right there. That's what we're looking for. But, oh well. Bye-bye. General, by the way, is just like one thing, which is fine as the verbose look. It's used for debugging. I think on the basis that this is going to be applied to basically all mobs anyways, we're probably going to want to put it here. Let's see. Did I call it mob groups? Or mob types? That's what it is. Type settings dot mob types. There you are. Your face's type extends neck. I mean, not. Yep. There's a lot of ways to define that, but I don't think that's necessarily how I'd personally go about it. Okay, just trying to make sure this is as uniformly baroque as it could be. Yeah, I can see how that's going. Yeah, it's just complaining that I just removed creature groups. Because it wasn't doing anything. Head is T, extends neck. I don't know, I guess it would depend on how you define the human body. Is the human body an assemblage? Like, is a given person, essentially a holder object of body parts? Or are they some greater system? I would say they're a greater system on the basis that everything has to interact, which could be done via a holder entity, but, I don't know, we don't tend to think of our arms as being separate to our shoulders unless something has gone very wrong indeed. I would say, if anything, it would be, like, human head extends head base or something. That's how I think it would go. Okay, so if we run this after getting rid of the current extant version inside of our run, then what we should find is that we just get a set of things. Now, I probably do want to just bring that back just so that stops complaining. Not that it's doing very much right now. Anyways. There. Okay. What we're just looking for is if the config gets an entry for every single mob type on both. I should really change that to creature types rather than mobs, but it's fine for right now. Well, something interesting happened here, that's for sure. Just bring this over on a window for you guys. Okay, there we go. Okay. Not entirely certain how this happened. Oof. So we're looking for something like this, and we somehow managed to get this. I'm not even sure how we did that. Let's see, 4 everyone, do that. That can actually just go straight to Ina mob type. Don't need to turn that in. If anything, it would hurt us more to actually turn into that. Turn it into a string. Because then we'd have to iterate for removal or just retrieving it. Okay. Okay, then we do have the pop. Good. there. Hopefully that'll help us here. You can make these tidier than I've got them right now, but it's fine. I wonder how we ended up like this. That is interesting. Probably because it was a multiple value, so it decided to bracket it like that. That's probably what happened. I'd guess. Now what are you complaining about? Oh, right, yeah, because I changed what type it is. As I say, you're not doing anything right now. Kindly hush. You'll be doing stuff later, but not right now. It'd be nice to have the opportunity, the option of giving custom types to different, like, specific mobs. So, you might, for instance, give the dragon type to, like, a boss monster or something, or at least a particularly significant NPC. So I get Dad scolding his children. I don't... maybe back in the days of Yoke Wars. Also, we know full well what I sound like as a dad trying to scold his children, and the answer is very much whatever goes on inside of my Alien Isolation flavor. God, your command format really messes me up sometimes. Okay, where did I put you? There I put you. Yes, reboot, thank you. Interesting. Still does that, huh? Wait, why does it go to name? That... This is very curious. Go ask your other parent. Oh no, I'm not nearly that, I'm not that daft. String path, default value, okay. How does it end up with that? Like, yep, okay, there's the mobs part, good. How do we end up with that? How do we get to there? Probably because that's a translation. Yep. Okay, so we need to just get name, I think. I think that'll do. That'll be in full block capitals, but hopefully that'll suffice. What's that? It's quite a combination of things though, noob. There we go. That's what we're looking for. Give or take. Okay. So, you'll need to have comma separated everything in here, but that's a start. Okay. Next stop. Feeding in our defaults. So, way down here, we have all of our defaults actually fit in. And I can actually put in a bunch more of these that are currently out. We just need to type them properly. There we go. Zombie kobolds patiently waiting. Okay, so this gives us a bunch of defaults, and we then need to actually take those and put them into our config so that when our config initializes, it will actually have our default settings in there. Okay, We also actually need a boolean inside of here to say, do these matter in the slightest? Do we care? Which more or less just turns on the plus and minus benefits. Just to be on the safe side, I'm going to define that as boolean.true. Boolean to okay, yeah, it does not like that. Yeah. That one, anyway. Currently discussing logistics of what would happen if you are an ender pearl. If you are, like, define logistics here. What are the concerns? Oh, if you ate an ender pearl. I imagine relatively similar to a chorus fruit, except that a chorus fruit teleports you when you eat it, but an ender pearl teleports you when it breaks. So I guess it would depend on whether or not there was, like, somebody that the ender pearl recognizes as having thrown it. Like, if you know, like when you throw a peanut in the air and catch it in your mouth? I imagine you'd be momentarily inverted. But other than that, like, if somebody else chucked an ender pearl into your mouth, then it would be very awkward moments that would be worthy of fanfic. But I think, unless if you're just, like, picking up and eating it and breaking it in the process, then I imagine not much happens. Best guess. Okay, so we need to get a string list of every creature that is registered in the config and the defaults as having each specific type, which would be mob types dot let's see. I need like a get creatures of type in here. Give an entity. So entity. Yeah. Pretty sure there's strings in this array. Let me see. Yeah, string. Okay. So we need... If its default's like that, why is it strings? Why is that being stored as strings? List of string, group lists, array list string... Ah, because it gets the class. Okay, it gets the type in the group. Is it worth me building this from scratch? To some extent, just so I recognize what the hell's going on. Because there's a lot of code in here. Like, it would make more sense to have it be by enum mob type, because that's already what we need anyways. Sure, why not? Okay, so now, when we go through here, we just need to go through every given group and add them, just tack on the class to the end of it. So, for enum type in, it's called groups here, otherwise we'll keep it that for the time being. And we need to class name, class in registry name, which one can go to string names. Okay, and we want type to mob defaults. Dot put type, and let's see, we need entry, where entry is equal to type to mob defaults dot contains type, then grab the existing one, otherwise just that. And then entry plus equals entry dot length greater than 0, then a comma, and otherwise nothing, plus the class name. Okay. Just bracket that, make sure it executes properly, and that should do basically everything that's needed here. Like, that should work just fine. And bonus, it'll be much easier to cycle through. It'll be much easier to check if something is a given thing. Okay, players are a little bit trickier. But not very much, because we still use a string here anyways. So, basically, the same thing, we're just passing a different, string. Or a different origin string, I guess. Okay. It is almost time for my break here. What's your problem here? Can I convert from array to string? There we go. We don't have to worry about that because we already handled that. Same with there. I think we can handle that a bit more elegantly here. We used to have to define player entirely separately because players did not appear in the entity list of 112. So we had to manually add specific ones for them, but I don't think that's a problem now. Okay, so now we actually have a list. We have a string right there, easy to use. So for that, we can now say mob types dot type to mob defaults dot get type. And that'll just get us a string that goes there by default, quite happily. And then we can do the same thing down here for players. Okay. Once I get this part to stop screaming, everything should be fine. Although we don't use this currently right now, so we can just deal with that for the time being. There's gonna be a lot of stuff here that's me just cracking old code. Because there's a lot going on here that I don't think is necessarily necessary with the new model. Okay. Let's run it and see what happens.
Apparently it's been 3 months since Dusty has brought me in.
Wow, here's to many more. Dusty is actually like days to weeks away from Oop, we have a broken state apparently. Initializer error. What and where? Diddle-diddle-diddle-doo. Okay. Exception at the init the init of various oddities itself, line 50. Where we register the config, apparently. Did I miss a line? No? Seems perfectly okay to me here. And it's gonna be sometime around your birthday? Aw, ain't that gonna be nice? Trying to think exactly where this would have gone weird. I want to think. Let's just try getting rid of those variables and see what happens to it. Just get rid of that types piece entirely. Reboot and see if it refreshes with something it knows about. Can't believe it's already been nearly 2 years. I mean, how long has... Subscribing to me on Twitch is a new thing, but how long has, say, Booked been around? You've been through like 3 different eras of your life in this time. Yeah, 2020 was certainly an interesting time. Yeah, we've got a problem. Interesting. Okay, I'll be back in about 10 minutes, and maybe we find out what's going on. Maybe. See you then. Welcome back, everybody. So, just before we left off there, we were experiencing an interesting bug related to populating the config based on the default mob types. I think I fixed that now, just by saying if it hasn't been, if there's nothing there already, then just stick a, just stick an empty string there. Should be. Not quite sure what my keyboard is doing right now. I think it's stopped. Whatever it was doing there, I think it stopped. Okay. Yeah, my keyboard's getting very old. I probably need to replace this thing, but I like it. Anyways, so after that, we now have all of the types and string-like elements of all the things that have that type. So, the next step is to populate these based on the config so that we can then actually make sure that everything is operational on the server side, and then ideally store that back into the thing, but it's fine if not. And then we also ideally I'm saying a lot of alsos here, but still, need to convert the strings back into a set of mob types. So give it an entity type or a player name, and we can then fish out the entries that are relevant to that entity and such. So let's start with that idea. And let's go with a list. Okay, so for every enum mob type, type in player types, I guess, or I'm trying to think. Let's go in here and let's actually see if we can't retrieve these, because that should be a thing. So map enum mob type to string elements, get player types, because if we can just retrieve that directly from the config, that will probably help us out later. And then for enum mob type in, let's go with player types key set. Then types.put type player types.get, and that would be type.split. Actually, no, .get first, because just sort of split. Then split like that, so that'll get it into. Please stop doing that. That's gonna bug me to heck. Okay. So, we're going to need our map in here. Enum mob type to string. Array. So mobs, type settings, get player types. I don't know why I'm using the key set. I could just be using values, because ostensibly there should always be an entry in here, but you never know. You never know. Okay. So, that string array contains the names of every player who has each given type. So we now need to check that array for a matching name. And that would be string entry in configured.get type if entry equals. We could make this even worse and have it be UIDs, which would be, oh boy, but we don't need to go that far. So if that's the case, then types add type and break. So by the end of that, we should have the whole thing. Whatever it's doing, it didn't do it that time. Okay, and we can repeat that with the mobs. Type unknown, type in, return get mob types dot, type in dot registry name, toString. Whereas here, whenever I'm writing public, I swear I am like one narrow misclick away from just writing pubic. How many programmers have done that over the years, do we think? Display name or name? I think just name. And last bit of overloading. Which I think can be living. Okay. Now currently in 1.12 you can find you can analyze mobs and players, and then you get an adventurer's journal that tells you exactly what all the different types are. That's not implemented for 1.16, which I feel like goes semi without saying. But I don't know as yet if there is any kind of situation right now where we're going to need that. Just going through here and finding what I can rip out. See, that is no longer necessary, because now we can actually just go through and get the whole thing. We have all these references to strings that we don't need anymore. Like, that and that we pretty much have already done. In fact, up here, if types.is empty, types.add, get mob types, entity types.player. There, so if you don't have your own custom ones, you get the ones that all players do. Yeah, I'm just ripping out code after code after code here, because a lot of this is surplus at best. Really, all of these should be living entity. There's no real reason for this to be anything else. Sorry, this is very, this is another one of those very Cody streams, where I do a lot of typing without things necessarily being dreadfully visible. Okay, we do not need those anymore, because we're just referencing it directly from the config. Now, what these are basically asking is, when we run get entity, get mob types or whatever on it, then do we see this particular one in it? Quick thing up here. To say that if we feed this a player, we'll just get the stuff anyways. Because that way we don't accidentally get the player ones when we mean to get their potential custom ones. Okay, there's the defaults, which is fine. Okay, so, yep, it's just that right there. That's literally all that it needs, actually, really more or less. Scope types is fine, that's fine. Get creature attributes. Get the mob types, check if it has a parent attribute, all of that looks good as well. I think that's set to go. So, rally broke something. Ow. The good news about doing this code as foundationally as possible is that there's less things that can explode. But on the other hand, things explode a lot more often. Okay, enum mob types should now be able to reference still just fine, because we didn't change any of the we didn't change any of the names of the is x kind of thing. Okay. Do we have any problems? We should only have 2 errors. Or 2 warnings, forever, which is purely based on the drafting table UI, because I haven't... as I said, I went through so much to get even this much of Various Oddities running, that I literally had to go to, like, tutorials of how to add your first entity, and boy did that feel dreadfully humbling, compared to, like, here's an algorithm that will calculate the internal space of a building and tell you what rooms there are. It's like being chucked off Olympus. But I haven't actually found basically any tutorials as such on how to do GUIs in 1.16 yet, so I'm flying by the seat of my pants when it comes to doing GUI drafting table. And that's mostly graphics code, so it's not working well there. But okay. So now we have custom types. We don't have a command to manipulate those, but we do have them. feel old now booked? Aw. Let's see, how do I want to do the printing out? This is just for reporting stuff, basically. Debugging and the like. I don't actually see that being useful tremendously, so let's just get rid of that. Okay. Now we need a bus to actually activate this. It's probably worth me moving these to their own thing, because right now they're just sort of hanging out here. Types can mean a lot, so hopefully this doesn't get confused. There. So the config holds the thing that we actually use to grab this stuff, but everything else is fine. So now we need a type bus. Because in the mob types, there is all these different parts of the type handler. Critical hits, damage events, potions, that sort of thing. And we want to go through these different events and actually tie them into the type bus so that they get triggered. Essentially, when the game tries to do a thing, we want to check if our configured types and such allow it. This is probably going to be a lot easier to reference directly from the old 1.12 code. Most of these events haven't changed their name. There will be a bunch of stuff in here, though, that we are going to have to fix up. Nope. Here. Mob types. There we are. Okay. It's fine. It's only like 180 lines. Shouldn't be any problem at all. Except for the 51 errors, but that's fine. Let's start up here, shall we? Types matter, .get. Okay. I always hate when it does this, because I never know exactly what it's asking me for. Okay, down to 27 errors. Okay, entity living base is now basically just living entity. Hey game, how you doing? Same with entity living, for that matter. Entity player is now player entity, because why not? Potion effect is now effect instance, which at least makes marginally more sense. Or as much sense, at least. Get entity types, we've changed to get mob types. Down to 24 errors. A lot of this really is just find replace. Thanks, Meg. Creature attribute. I removed all of the enum from the start of things, which is actually kind of a problem. Because those mean things. Once again, that's kind of just standard protocol that is apparently just something they decided to ignore entirely. Okay, active effects. Oh boy. go. Okay. Down to 6 errors. And they appear to all be in the update section. Right, potion effect and potion effect or potion effect and effect instance are now 3 things. I don't know why, but they are. Okay, down to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All of them right here. Good. Packet potion removed must be one of mine. Just code that out for the time being. It's fine. Alright. So now over here, in the common setup, we just add that in. That should mean that things work properly. Now, what's a good example? What's a good test case here? Probably checking for potion effects. Except that we've just clarified that there might be a bug where we can't detect that client side. So is there a is there a particular like mob type that is outright immune to something? Like some kind of damage, ideally. The fire type is immune to fire damage, so it just gets cancelled entirely. So, let's go into the config. And we'll say fire, and we're gonna add div, which is the name of the player in this instance. So if this works, div shouldn't be able to take any damage from fire. Should still be able to be lit on fire, just won't take any damage from it. Here's hoping. Fingers crossed. Okay. Just quickly check down here. Yes, reload it. What does it say? Dev is still here in there. Okay, and my name. Okay, good. That should mean. Bear in mind that's type sensitive, so if you're gonna try this at home, be a bit careful. So because I ostensibly have the fire type, we shouldn't be able to take damage from fire. Job's a good one. Okay. We're still on fire. We will eventually extinguish. But we're not taking any damage, not even remotely. Good. Hurrah. That means that's working. There's still some, like, damage sources I need to add to make it so that we actually, like, have, like, a concept of cold damage, but those also come with, like, how do we apply that sort of thing, but in the case of the, oddities themselves, that's mostly just, like, special damage types, so it's fine. Okay. If that works, all of them work. Barring, like, spells that we don't currently have. Damage events are probably also fine. I did most of the heavy lifting here just by getting this whole shtick in. This whole spiel. What a nice word, spiel. Okay. So we do probably need to make sure that players are aware that a potion effect hasn't actually worked on them. So let's test that by finding a type that does not get afflicted by poison. So there's undeads, there are slimes, that could be fun. Plants and golems are all immune to poison. So let's say that our test here is that Dev is a golem. Should definitely sort these a little bit because I'm in sort of a higgledy-piggledy order here. In fact, I'm not even sure why they're in that order, considering that it's aberration first up here. Okay. So if Dev is a golem, then shouldn't be able to be poisoned. But we will probably not take further damage from it, I think, but it'll probably stick around on the HUD. Okay. There is, I should stress, I've compared this to sort of like a mix and match version of Origins for Fabric. There is a planned child mod, I guess is the phrase, for various Odysseys in 1.16 that will allow for shapeshifting, which will allow you to actually play as kobolds and other things. That requires a lot of finagling, so I don't know when that'll happen, but that is planned, and that'll be a more then you can actually like play as a kobold with also being like fire dragon type or whatever. Okay, so if we give ourselves poison, nothing should happen, and it should ideally immediately go away. I don't even have it over here. Okay. Good start, good start. Let's get ourselves a good long splash potion. That's actually better than I was anticipating. And skadoosh. Nope, didn't even get it. Okay. So we are invulnerable to poison as well. Grand. That means potion effects are fine. Isn't that's living entity itself, isn't it? Yes. So that's null and void now. Okay, get rid of that. Use that. Text to remove can be its own thing here. Well, it gets used once, so there's not as much reason to store it in a variable. Okay. I think that's good. I think that's functional. So, in our to-do, there's the type config, which we've just demonstrated works. I could have walked back into fire if I wanted to be extra careful there. So the next thing is the type's command. And, oh boy. Did I ever show you all what making a command looks like in 1.16? Let's see, command settlement. So this is command settlement. This is the command that lets you either manually or by like command blocks manipulate settlements as well as their rooms, detecting them indeed as well. And it has a variety of subcommands, so list, here, remove, add, edit, move, and room, which itself has subcommands. This is possibly the most complex command in the game if you have vanilla and various oddities. Or at least that's what one would believe. Like, looking at it, that's what one would believe. What is more likely the most convoluted command in vanilla and various oddities combined is /team, which is written out like this. Can you tell what any line of this does? Because I sure as hell couldn't. Yeah. This is... Yeah. So the /types command is responsible for allowing you to add, remove, and view the types of players and mobs alike. And with that, it's not going to be nearly as convoluted as settlement. Add, remove, and view, or list, I guess. It's glorious? No! It's almost Lovecraftian. But yeah, that should be much easier to do. And let's just add to the changelings. Changelings, let's add to the changelog. Let's see, creature types re-implemented. Alter in the config to apply various benefits and... What's the opposite of a benefit? Attacks? Why was so complicated, Brooke Stream? What? I'm still here, apparently. Okay, apparently that was apparently just Twitch being weird. Also, my bang today, and I promise it's not... Okay, it's getting kind of long, because I haven't been... Getting a haircut has been kind of rough lately, but still. A momentary death. Didn't even blink for me, but oh well. What's the opposite of a benefit? Benefits and... I mean, pros and cons, really, is the simplest way of putting it. Deficits? To mobs and specific players. There. I'm keeping actual documentation now, look at me! Only took me about 5 years out of university. Banes and boons, that's a nice one. So yeah, if anyone ever cracks open Various Oddities 1.16's first version, they will see these changelog and to-do list variables down here. Just sitting there. They don't do anything except help me keep track of whatever the heck I've been doing. But okay. So, the config has these listings. And from there, we define our different things, and then the command... I don't know how we alter the config via the command. Because it was kind of a hacky way to do so in 1.12, and now we're in 1.16, and the config is all manner of different. So... a very simple test would be to just have a static value or something somewhere that changes like one of the booleans to a different value. I don't know if we even can do that, but let's have a quick check. So there's get and there is a set. Okay. So if we can retrieve a config value, we can set it. Specifically, especially if we know what it is. Okay. So, for example... Let's see, let's go to the type bus. For example, when we take... When we would otherwise be afflicted by this, I guess. Spell affecting entity, yes, good. Like, the main thing is, does the config actually store the value? Because that's important. Living damage event, maybe, or... hurt events. Sure. So, when we take damage, go to the config, go to the type settings, types matter, set, false. Because currently it's set to true. So, let's do that. And then we'll set... we don't actually need to set us to anything, but, you know, just for heck's sake, let's go with our fire. What should happen, or at least what we're hoping to happen, is we start off with everything running, because these only run if the boolean up here is set, and when that fires from us potentially taking damage, we then switch that to be false, and if it works according to plan, which I have to stress, the config, when we next check it, should say that they're turned off entirely. Which will mean that storing changes to configured types from the command will be just a matter of setting the value in the config VO. Fingers crossed. Okay, here we are. Here's the flint and steel. What will ostensibly do heckle to us because we're a golem. But if we start taking damage, that will be because the value has been updated to false, and now the type effects have been turned off. Okay. And we're not taking damage. Okay. Oh. Hunky-dory. Right. Let's check the config. Still set to true. Okay. I thought it might not be that easy. So let's just have a sys out here, making sure that's actually firing at all. Do we have to reload the config after that, maybe? Maybe. As around 112 errors on disease, I'm gonna say the floating eyes on the Kieran and lightlings following even when you're inspected has quite the implications. Same thing happens with Guardians in vanilla. The Guardians in vanilla are... their eye is a separate thing that is just always oriented towards you. So it always looks like they're actually, like, looking at you, even if you're in gray, but it's a rendering effect. The eyes for the Kieran and the lightlings are just especially odd because they're 2D. And blink. Terrifying? It's a little weird. It does have the desired effect, except when there's more than one player, or even just like more than one potential attack target around, because the Guardian will be ostensibly looking at you out of the corner of its eye, while it's lasering a squid like 15 blocks away from you. Why do I like the look of this emote? The beloved shame bowl, I guess. So if we can create the value, why can we not necessarily set it? That's the question. Let's make sure that we actually, like, do. But also, let's see... Can we refresh? Like, is there a reload, perhaps? What does apply here? Unmodifiable config. Well, that's, That's a little discouraging, I have to say. Okay, set config? No. Get or else? No, those are all fine. No, I don't see anything in the spec here for changing things. If anybody happens to know of a way to change the config, do let me know, because we kind of are going to need to do that at some stage. So corrected config implies we have to generate something. Let's have a look at that. Doesn't exist, apparently. Here's the values. That's all the stuff we generate when we're making the config. Shameful, my beloved, insert the heart look at meme that you love so much. Unmodifiable config wrapper, unmodifiable config. Offer the electron will. What? The electron will what? Tell me, offer. Oh yeah, I heard that. I should hope so, or else it means I've gone offline again. Is unmodifiable nope, unmodifiable config is not a variant of modifiable config or corrected config. Abstract commented. So commented config would seem to be, yeah, using correct. So what is that? So it goes through the objects in each. And I can only presume, let's see, set comment, yes, okay. But what about values? Yeah, okay. So commented config would seem to be where we alter things. I think. But it seems to just be comments. Spec is the original value, as near as I can tell, though. For every entry in the spec, find the key in the value, and then the value in the config. Okay, does that get used? Is it possible to do an escape character in it? I mean... Oh, the auto emojis. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, this... I feel like this is how we do it. I'm just not sure exactly what on earth is going on. But okay, let's boot this up and see if this comment shows up at all. Which would indicate that this is actually firing at all, and we therefore haven't just put the changer in like some random spot that never gets called. Which happens more often than I would like to admit. So if we start a small fire and Dev stands in it, what we should see happening is nothing on the screen, but in the console down here, we should get a whole ton of spam. We don't, which means that code is never run. Okay. Why is this code never run? Okay, that's always going to be the case, hopefully. It's interesting that that's never... Oh. Hurt and damage are separate things. That's occurred to me now. Hurt and damage are separate things. I think a hurt is when a creature tries to injure you. Damage is when the damage source goes through. I think. Was it living harm? Oh, who knows anymore. Let's see. In a mob type. Wherever the fire type applies it. Living attack events. Okay. This one. That's where the fire comes in. Right. Okay, there's hope yet. Because I'm a dingus. Okay. Well, I should be taking fire, but nothing is happening. But I also still don't see anything in here. Let's have a look. We can't see everything, because the 1.16 version... Oi! Prints out every single registry in the entire thing, which overflows Eclipse's console. I don't know why, but there we are. Every sound event, every item, every biome, everything just gets printed out. I don't know why. It's absurd. Okay. So... let's see, we are looking... I'm not seeing anything anywhere. So let's go all the way up to here. And plonk it right there where we know it gets cold. That feel when you're trying to record using Streamlabs and instead hit go live. Oh, rip.
Player has joined the game.
Hey, Nick. Oh, Twitch Prime. Well, thank you. I think you finally got your audio volume fixed. Oh. Audio is an extremely important part of my job, so... that is something I've done a lot. Okay, forcing type effects to false is now most certainly getting spammed in the chat. Next question. Are we gonna burn? We're getting lagged out, but that's... Yep, we're gonna burn. Okay. Which means that the value actually got changed. Next question. What does the config look like after that? It changed! Hey hey! We can affect the config. Grand. We just have to affect it at the right moment. The fact that that shows up in the text file means that we can alter the config via altering the known declared variables. Grand. Let's turn that back on because dev is burning. DM you the FLV that I recorded I'm using stream, which is bad, but you tried. I don't know what you were trying to record, exactly. Okay, good. So now, when we're making the command, all that we need to do is retrieve the current one in the config, the current, like, set, and then set the corresponding value to be plus or minus the name that we're after. Grand. Okay. I'm gonna take my break, so I'll be back in 10 minutes, everyone. See you then. Woohoo! welcome back, everybody, to the final hour of our evening. And though we still need to do the command is going to take an utter rage and be utterly dreadful to watch because it will require so much trial and error. We have functional mob types again. I should probably rename this to creature type or something because mob type is a little vague. So just, yeah, enum creature type. There we go. You can help with commands? I think I got this one. After command settlement, I think I can handle command types. I think I got that part. But, yeah, it'll be dreadful as sin to do that tonight. So, regular is confusing as hell when you miss a close bracket. Oh god, yes. Oy, it's so painful. And optional entries are such a massive pain to do as well. But anyways, so, let's see. You might notice on the to-do list here there is nothing about having new mobs. So, let's have a look at our list and see which mobs we should actually implement next. Or re-implement next, I should be clear. Oh, we had so many. We had so many. Okay. Now, the Ubervidron is an obvious candidate, but I'd like to give them a bit more love before I put them right in. We'll leave Pegasi and Winged Donkeys for a bit, I think. As well as Griffins. Basically, most of the mounts. I do think Wargs and Wargs should be implemented fairly swiftly, because they're a significant part of how Goblins function. So, yeah, let's add them to our list here. Warg, Warg. So I think crabs. I do want to have the golems in, but both of them use the boss attack system, which is something I'd have to re-implement as well. And as an ideal, we want to try and minimize the amount of stuff that I'm adding that requires me to rebuild entire vast systems. Per update, at least. Like, every update should have, like, one and maybe two substantial, like, re-implementations. Mimics. Getting my mimics back would be nice. Trying to think. To do a mimic, I think I'd mostly just be re-implementing chest code, so that wouldn't necessarily be too difficult. The only hard part would be necessarily swapping them around. I think that's fine. There's, Kieran Dave has been tinkering with a pack called Unlikely Reunion recently, which I think is still in testing. But, they have a mod in there, I don't know which one it is, but it includes mimics. Except that they're just entities. They don't even blep. they're just there, they turn around, and they immediately start jumping after you with their, like, lids going up. And that's fair enough, that's what a chest mimic generally tends to do. Artifacts has mimic chest entities? Yeah, that's probably the one I'm thinking of. And it's like, I prefer mine, actually. Mine actually turn into blocks, so they actually have, like, a chance of surprising you. But okay, wargs, wargs, crabs, and giant crabs. That's the existing ones that I think we can implement next. One problem I have noticed from testing is that even with the natural spawn values actually adjusted, you're not absolutely swamped by oddities, but kobolds, rats, and scorpions, those specific kinds, are all of type creature, and creature has a spawn cap of 10, as near as I can tell, which is not great, I have to say. Let's see, entity classification, there we are. Yeah, this value right here, that one, that's the one we actually interested in. Max number of creature. Basically, if there is more than 10 creatures you do not see anymore, If there's more than 70 monsters, you do not see any more. And that's fine, but, I think you had a compatibility of one of my writable mobs in your early version. Oh, you wrote that. Huh. I think you did. Yes, I recall seeing that. Now, Misk, you might wonder, hey, it's got -1, we can spawn however many of those we like, except that if it's a miscellaneous creature, it's not actually spawned naturally. That is used specifically by things that are created as part of world generation or by, like, unnatural action, man-made, if you will. Other spawners built into other systems. It's just these top 5 that actually get spawned, and the top of that is monster. So, bleh. So, unless you actually have a mod that alters the mob spawn limits, you only ever see 10 creatures. Which makes it kind of hard to find rats, scorpions, and kobolds, unfortunately. But really easy to find goblins. Despite the fact that currently goblins are more or less identical to kobolds, to an extent. Like, neither of them are aggressive by default. They both need to be provoked. But, Anyways, to round out the evening, let's try and get crab. Let's just engage crab. Like regular-sized crab. I do not recall what the scaling is of crab. Let's see, basic crab. Should be down here somewhere, there you are. It is 0.6 by 0.5. And its egg colors are... Where are ya? There we are. I love this. Release 5, crab. Giant crab, release 4. Or no, it's even earlier, third. Release 3. Oof. It took 2 whole releases before smaller crabs were added. Okay, it's gonna complain because... Of course it is. Let's see, we want to add placement type dot in water. And height map dot type. Ocean floor. Not sure what the WG means, but oh well. The giant crab just took that much effort I needed to recover crab energy. Okay. And now we need abstract crab. And entity crab extending from abstract crab. It'll be very generic, it's not going to have much in the way of AI here, but... Okay. Import. I think I got that right, or I got that wrong. Let's find out. Rats. Rats will be good to chase. Rats are also misaligned, because they should be over there, along with scorpions, because they're not hostile by default. Yep, that should be fine. What are you missing? Ah, the can spawn at part. Okay. For crabs... Let's see. Oh, but he has one. I think. Probably not. I'm thinking of... Rats. Rats up. There we go. Okay. Not gonna do much crabbing, but it's there. So now let's take a look at here, go into our abstract crab. And boy, did we have a bunch of stuff in here. So there was bubbling, there was scuttling, there was their barnacles, which, handy if ever, were big. I could reduce a lot of this to into an integer mask, but it's fine. And their color, of course. Okay. And they are an arthropod. Yes, they're bubbling. Memories, memories. Okay, I think a lot of this can just be... Yeah, I think a lot of this can just be replicated quite happily. Just straight into here. Is in water, I think, is meant to make things not drown. Okay, let's have a look at squid. Real quick. So there's water mob entity.
Player
What do those
has
do?
joined the game.
Hey, neighbor. Creature attribute dot water. Interesting that that's a specific thing. Can breathe underwater. That's a fairly important thing for a crab. Sure. Is there anything else in here that is relevant? Update air. That's... Ours don't mind. These crabs do not mind. Is pushed by water? Sure, we'll have that in. Can be leashed. Sure, let's keep it. At the very least, we'll allow the small crabs to have it. The big ones, maybe not so much. But the small ones, sure, you can leash a small crab. Other than that, seems things here are kind of fine. Path priority, I think that just means it doesn't mind water. At a guess. Yeah, that's probably the case, in which case, yeah, that's probably something you want in here as well. Okay. Right. Let's set up the attributes, because if we don't, then... And we have to set this up outside of the entity for God knows what reason. Because if we don't, then our mobs will not be allowed to spawn at all. So let's see, what were the stats of our crabs way back when? I know they were fairly puny compared to the big ones. Oh, that's 3. Abstract, that's the one I want. There we are. Okay. Maximum health was 9. Okay, same as rats. Small rats. Armor is 4. Which apparently is the same as rats, which seems implausible, but let's see, movement speed, maybe put that down a bit. Movement speed values between 112 and 116 changed a fair bit. So, if you look at the rats mod, actually, I think it's a perfect example of what happened. The rats mod updated from 112, and is now in 116. The rats in that mod go massive Noom, and I virtually guarantee it's because they imported the speed value from 112 into 116 and they didn't figure to change it. So these rats are just hyper the entire time. I noticed that when I, like, converted the kobolds up, because I used the same values initially, and they were just noom everywhere. It was ridiculous. I had to dial the rats back as well. Whew. Okay, attack damage is a simple 1 for crabs. Okay. And now we need to actually register down here, and we have to do it for every single thing. Why this changed, I don't know, but here we are. Okay, now we have a crab, which does not in any fashion look like a crab. So let's fix that part up. So client, model, entity. I believe they were under passive. Nope. Hostile? There you are, model crab. Changing of a bunch of stuff. Oh, I forgot about limb position. Okay, that's part of my model utils. Or it was, back in the day. Rendering has changed considerably. That's just hand aside now. Although I think that's related to holding stuff, which we're not too fussed about at this exact moment. Okay, let's just get rid of that for a hot second. So the way I did complex models for mobs inside of 112 was I had these different classes. So I think there's one for scorpions as well, if we go in here. There's one for the claw, one for the model way down at the bottom left there. I can't actually show you very much because pixels on the way, but yeah. We have a class for the claw, tail, and leg. Because then we can just generate them quite happily by just saying new such and such. Okay, let's see what we can do here. So this is related to when they scuttle. When not all crabs are programmed to scuttle, but those that have that variable flicked, when they move forwards, they will rotate 90 degrees so that they walk sideways. Which is entertaining, suffice it to say. And then there's scaling as well to change the sizes of the hands based on their values there as well. Let's just leave this be. Should be fine for the time being. For the time being, I'm just going to turn off most of this, in fact. This will mean that quite probably what we'll end up with initially is just a box with eyes. Right, what are we missing? Must explicitly invoke. Okay. Where's my scorpion go? There's my scorpion go. You don't seem to care. Oh, of course. Entity model. What else are we missing? Okay, it's up there. Get away with using ageables? Probably not. Let's check biped model. 1 second. There's also an ageable model. Okay. looks fine to me. Okay. So let's see, we want left claw and right claw. And then all of the legs, of which there are a number. So let's see, model leg, leg in, left legs, leg, do that. And again for right. Okay. Okay. What is your problem? Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Yeah. It's just that it doesn't have these other values in. There we go. Okay. That should be fine. It's not going to rotate currently, but it should be fine. Where are the rotate angles? There's the rotate angles. Okay. Most of this should convert just fine. Shouldn't have a problem. Except for the part where we actually tell this to be on other things. Okay, and here too. It's mostly just variable reordering. That appears to be the crabs ready to go. They won't have their barnacles, they won't have their weird hands, and they won't scuttle, but they'll be there. They also probably won't do anything because they don't have any AI to tell them to anyways right now. Okay, so now we need an entity renderer. Entity crab renderer to be exact. Big and small use the exact same renderer, it's just given a different value to change their scale. Okay, let's quickly grab renderer. The oldie renderer. So we can figure out what the scale used to be. Let's just tie them to being crab red first. For the moment, at least. So all of them are red crabs. And the scale for little crabs is 0.5. Okay. And before I forget, let's actually import the texture, because otherwise we will in fact have a very untextured crab. Okay, there's all that. Now I need to register them, which should be at the render registry, which I think is in... is it the render handler? Is that it? No. God, where's it ended up these days? Entity render, just there. Okay. Rendering registry. Register. New entities.crab with new entity crab renderer small. It's irrelevant right now, but it's fine. Okay, so that should give us the small crabs. It should give them textures. It should give them a renderer. So they won't have any AI. They won't have any of their accoutrements, but they'll exist, which is a start. Oh, they won't have their names, but shouldn't be a problem. They also won't have an item texture because I can't, as near as I can tell, set a specific custom item model for item stacks now. Which is annoying because it means I have to add a model for every single spawn egg, despite the fact they're all identical. They're just colored differently. Okay, are we go for crab? It's a massive pain in the neck, but oh well. I did take out the code that would spam the console. Good. Good, good, good. Okay. Here is crab. There is crab. Yay! We have a crab, everybody. I don't think it has its size. No, it does have its size. Okay. Crab conform. Okay, let's increase crab. And these crabs are significantly less nice. Let's see, what were their stats? Let's find out. Thankfully, we only have to do the rendering part once, pretty much. Nope, entity, thank you very much. Giant crabs. Crab, let's see, giant crabs, same kind of similar speed. In fact, I'll even make them slightly slower. Their armor is set at 10. Their max health is 30. And their attack damage is 6. These are ostensibly challenge rating 1. But, Okay, now we actually need to give a scale value into this when we are calling this in. So, for the small one, it's 0.5. And for the big one, it is 1.5. Okay, still sticking with red, just plain red for the time being. So, giant crab, where's my data gone for you? Okay, your size is 1.9 by 1.5. Considerably bigger. And evidently I am... Yep, I have not imported all of that. What is problem? Oh. And once again, down here... I feel it... If I had to try and come up with some explanation for why they made these kinds of changes, like down here with the attributes, it feels like they're trying to move towards having a brain controller system. There is even AI code called Brain and such in here that's separate to the tasks manager, which is very strange. But I don't think they quite got there just yet. Okay, so now just want to go to the can spawn at part and make sure that we're not in peaceful. Let's see. That's a difficulty instance. That's a difficulty. Difficulty does not equal difficulty dot peaceful and abstract crab can spawn it. Yeah. So regular crabs will spawn in peaceful mode, but big crabs not so much. They will still pick a fight if you get too handsy with them though. Okay, I think. Nope, I haven't registered the renderer. Anti-render registry. Okay, now I think I've done everything. Let's quickly add an item model. And some lang. Let's see, where are you guys? There you are. That, and that should give us crab. That should give us crab. Engage giant enemy crab. Okay, so there is regular crab. Expand crab. Yep, there we are. Significantly bigger. And currently, completely peaceful, because they have no concept of AI. And let me see, there's green and blue variants, but we haven't got that code in just yet. And yeah, their hands are supposed to have different sizes, and they can have barnacles on the back if they're particularly old kind of crabs, I guess. But just, yep, crab. And Let's have a look at those wiggly legs. Yeah. The power of programming right there. It's like, a strand beast, if anyone knows what that is. But okay. So now they need some AI. But first, I'm going to import some natural spawns for them. And we will see if any of them actually show up in the sea. Where's natural spawns? There's natural spawns. Okay, so where are crabs? There are crabs, okay. These numbers are probably wildly off. So expect to see quite a few of these. Like, I'm going to take a wild guess and say most of these are very off. But let's see. That should... Do I need to... there's a question. Am I going to need to put them in the water? Water creature? No, there's a spawn around 5 there. What creature type are guardians, actually? Let's have a look. At a guess, they're monsters. But their creature attribute is just water. Let's see, Elder Guardian, classification monster. Okay, so we should see the giant crab spawning. Or we would if we'd refresh the config. Gotta remember to do that. Let's have a look. Do we see any? We do not see. Oh no, we do see the crabs in the spawns. Okay, good, good, good. Okay. Right. Last thing for the evening then. Check if crabs will spawn and where. With the values that were in those settings, I'm going to take a wild guess and say they're going to swamp the presence of everything else, but let's see. Now, crabs don't swim. It's important to note. They can only just, like, wander about in water. I don't know if they'll even actually wander up blocks, but we'll see, because they might not be able to jump that high. Pretty sure I just grabbed the wrong world. Yes, I did. Hello, crab. Goodbye, crab. We're on the hunt for some crab, everybody. Let's see how we do. Okay, they should appear anywhere there's ocean. So, here we are. I am immediately basically blind. Conduit power. Let's take that one. For 10,000 seconds, amplifier free, why not? And yes, please hide particles so I can still see. Okay. There's fish, squids, we are looking for crab. As dolphins, we are in a deep, lukewarm ocean. There's a drowned. More fish. Who needs swimming when you're in creative mode? I wonder if our can spawn at needs to factor in the presence of water. Let's also try midnight. Let me check my video settings are up to bright so you guys can see a bit better. We're just looking for any crabs. Let's see, locate biome. Frozen ocean? Because we know that's one space that is specifically, yes, they can spawn here. Teleporting away also causes a bunch of stuff to unload, giving our mobs a little bit more opportunity. Not seeing them so far. Nope. We're approaching land. I can see giant rats over here. Hi there. Okay. Effects. Give. At E type equals world. Crab. Which is now the first entry. Glowing. No crabs found. No. Yeah, I think we need to change their can spawn ats. A smidge. But that's okay, we can hopefully get that done real quick. So let's see. Let's check the squids again. That's it. It's attributes. You must have a can spawn in here somewhere. Yep, there's sea level right there. Okay. Doesn't mention anything about the actual block there, so that's something. Okay. Entity type squid. Squid, right there. Classification water creature. Nothing dreadfully special going on there. Wait, did I say... One mo, I think I hecked up slightly. Yep, I got these reversed. That needs to be in Crab Giant. Okay, we know that they'll be set for it, so... And we know that they're set to be placed in water, in the ocean floor, so what's causing them to not spawn? Literally nothing caused that, by the way. Placement type in water is apparently unique. I guess we could say no restrictions, I guess. See what that does for us. Does anything else call no restrictions? What do Guardians use, I guess is the next question. Surely this is something that Guardians have to worry about. Swimmer, not interested in that part. Can breathe underwater, that's fine. There's the flopping about. There's their can spawn function. So cannot see sky or random, which puts them into the open water. Fluid state water. We don't even check that. It should just say yes. Unless creature entity doesn't allow us that. Can entity spawn? That could be it. I'm not sure. Just gonna say true. Just gonna say true and see what happens. Our final test of the evening. Natural crab. Fresh crab. Come on. I'm excited to see how this works out, once I get it running, at least. Because there was a problem with 112, whereby crabs and squids were the only form of, like, sea life that existed. And they had to share a classification type, so they shared a spawn cap. So you tended to end up with either no crab, or lots of crab. And that included the giant crabs. So it was often a case that you just got murdered. Ooh, okay, that's an orbital. Show me the crab. Oh, that is actually helping. Holler if you see something red and underwater, everybody. Oh yeah, now with the addition of drowned as well as various forms of fish, we hopefully shouldn't have a situation where we're just inundated with crab. I'm not seeing any. I wonder if that's just because we've hit mob cap limits or something. A bit of a piddly ocean biome. Very well. God, the noise when you go from one of these is... Ugh. Nope. That one. Just want to add crabs to this list. So that should any spawn, I should at least be able to find them. Look for something glowing in the sea, everybody. But I strongly suspect we're not going to see anything. Because there is evidently still some shortcoming with my code. Or maybe it is just the presence of other creatures. In which case... There were free squid. Okay. Kill everything but me. we just do that over and over, we might encounter a crab. Because we are wide ocean here. Deep ocean, in fact. So we should see crab. Another 5 for 75. I like the death particles just coming out of the sea. No, distinct lack of crab, I'm afraid. Okay, so there is definitely some kind of shortcoming still. I might have done that. Okay. Right, so that's a problem. I gotta fix that up. But, at least for the time being, we do in fact have crabs, we just don't have them spawning, which is... as chunks of coding go, not that huge. Wait, we do in fact have the crabs. So yay. You happy, everybody? We have crabs. So let me see. My next stream is on Thursday. That will be some Among Us with the World of Madness folks as well as the community in the Lying Central Discord. I might be a bit out of that because I have a blood test that morning and I expect to return home looking like a used Capri Sun. But we'll see. Then on Saturday at 9 we have the carousel where we will be and our goblin and our rats. Odd. Also, weren't there more? I'm guessing things are just despawning because they're not set to persist, except for Jeremy Bentham, who is named. But let me see. Yeah, we should have some Among Us. Well, we should have some Among Us on Thursday and some random wheel selection of the carousel on Saturday, and we'll be back for more various oddities 116 coding on the Tuesday. Meanwhile, I do make videos over youtube.com/FromOurComic. There's one that coming out tomorrow. And if you're a patron, you get to see that early, so check out patreon.com/lying. Thank you very much to the subs that we had tonight, as well as the bits and whatnot, and hope you've all enjoyed. I will, as ever, get you all next time. And, enjoy these, because they will not be here. They will just be regular foxes next time.